Hi, and welcome to this complete HTML tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you all the tags that you need to make cool websites. So the first step is we're going to write HTML if you're using Sublime Text 3, and then you will press Ctrl and space, and it will write down all the required tags for you. So the first important tag is doctype HTML, and this is important because even if you don't write this code, your code might still work. But the reason it is important to write this is it will tell your browser that you're writing a standard HTML file. And if you don't have this, there might be some problem in certain browsers or something might fail. So it's better to always make sure that you have the first line in there. And then the second line is HTML tag. So we have the opening and closing HTML. So we always, whenever we want to start, we always need to make sure that we have opening and closing HTML, because we're saying that we are writing an HTML file. And then after that, your HTML have two parts. One part is head, the other part is body. So this is opening and closing of the head, and this is opening and this is closing of the body. And the way that you open and close the certain tag is by writing the tag name inside of those bigger and smaller sign, and then when you want to close a tag, it will just put a slash before writing the name of your tag. But there are some tags that they don't need the closing, it's just the opening, like this one. But normally most of them need opening and closing, and whatever you want to write, you will write between those two tags. Head normally consists of the things that are required for the program to run. For example, if you have a short JavaScript code, you can write it there. If you want, you can write your CSS there or things like that. But the main things that normally goes in there is title, and whatever you write here is going to display on your tab bar. So right now I'm just gonna write HTML tutorial and then save this. When I run this, notice here that I have HTML.html. Now when I run it, it will change to HTML tutorial. It will change to the name that we put in the title in our head. So since we are doing HTML and mostly CSS and JavaScript would go to head, we're not going to deal with head that much. We're going to start with the body. So I'm going inside of the body tag, and the first very common tag that you will be using is edge tag, and we have 6 of these edge tags. So as you can see, there is an opening and there is a closing to that, and then whatever you want to display on the screen, you will just write in between these two tags. Now let's save this and run it, and let's see how edge tag works. So I just wrote what we write between these two tags on the screen. Right now we are using H1 and we have 6 edges. So right now I copied and pasted all of H1, H2, H3 till H6. So the way that you're doing it is you write H1 and then you will close the H1. That is very important. Now I'm going to save this and look inside of my browser to see how does it look like. So this is our H1, this is our H2, this is H3, H4, H5, and H6. So these are different headers that you can use, and you can use whatever size that you like. There is another thing for writing something on the screen, because normally for heads you're just writing something that is very short, but when you want to write longer things, you can use paragraph. This is how you will write a paragraph. you will open and close your paragraph tags. Now let's save this and look how does this look like in our browser. So as you can see, this is our paragraph. Our paragraph is a little bit bigger than H6 and H5. So this is something that you want to consider, which one you want to use. Normally we are using paragraph for writing so many words and so many things. So next thing I want to talk about is the center tag. You can put tags inside of the tags. So first of all, I want to show hello world with the font of H3, and then I want to put center tag around it, and center tag will bring your whatever you wrote, or if it is the picture, if it is the video, anything that you put center tag around it, it will bring it in the middle of the screen. So I will save this and I will run it here. You will see that hello world came in the middle of the screen. We are using same H3, so it has to be the same font and the same size as hello world. But another thing that we're going to change is we're using B tag inside of our H3 tag, and we're just putting it around world. So hello is going to be with H3 font and size, but world is going to be changed with the tag around it. So let's save this and run it. So this is our hello world. Since we didn't put center around it, it didn't come in the middle, but it came here. So as you can see, let me bring it into the center so we can compare this world with this world, so you will see the difference. So we're just gonna write center tag around this. And now if I run it again, so this world they are both H3, but this world is bigger than this world. It's just because we put tags around it, we put B tags around it, which made the world a little bit bigger. So we put B tags around world, and that made our world bold. So whenever you want to bold something, you can just put B tags around it, and your word is going to be bigger or bolder. So next thing that we're going to examine is our big tag. So our big tag, it's like our bold tag, but the difference is this is actually the bold that we are using in Word, but the big tag will make the world bigger than it would normally be in H3 file. So because we want to compare all three of these together, I'm just going to remove center from this one so we can see the difference between bold and bigger. Save it. And then when I run this again, you will see that the first one, it just, let's remove the center from the first one so we can compare all three together. Save. When I run this again, all of them are here. So this is the normal one, it's nothing on it. So this is our normal world. This is world when we bold it, and this is world when we make it big. So as you see, they're gradually getting bigger and bigger. So next thing we want to check here is using the small tags. So small tags opening and closing around our world. So it's going to make the difference to our world, but our H3, our hello is going to be still in the H3 font and size. So if I run this, you'll see that hello is, in all of them, hello are the same size, but world is now smaller than the first one. So that's what small tags do, obviously. So the last one is the one that we're going to use emphasis on. So now we're going to put emphasis on world, but hello is going to be the same size. I'm going to save this and run this again, and you will see that when you're putting EM around it, the tag around it, it will emphasis and it will make it look like this. HTML is not sensitive to the break, it's not sensitive to the line change. So if I put world on the next line while we're still in the same tag, and if I save this and if I run this, you will see that they're still on the same line. So in case when you want to put something on the next line but you see that they're not going on the next line and you're still on the same line, you can easily use a tag called brick, and brick only have the opening tag, it doesn't have the closing tag. So you will just put the brick there and then you will save it, and when I run this again, you will see that the world is gonna go to the next line. So whenever you got stuck, you want something to go on the next line but you couldn't take it to the next line, you can just use brick before that and it will take the next line to it will take the next word or whatever it is after it to the next line. Another tag that we can use is mark. So I'm going to put the world inside of mark, opening and closing tag, and still we're using H3, and save this, and when I run this, you will see that there is a yellow mark around it. So in case you're writing anything that you want and you want to make something more outstanding so people will notice it, can just mark them like this, and it's like a highlight marker. It works like a highlight marker. Another interesting tag that we can use is BDO tags. Notice that I put a direction attribute inside of the starter tag. So whenever you want to give an attribute to a tag, you have to just put it inside of your starter tag. So the bigger and smaller sign will go around your beginning tag, and whatever attribute that you want to add to your tag, it will just go inside of the beginning of it. So right now what we are doing, we're using a direction attribute and we are telling it RTL, which means right to left. What it does, it will take our hello world and it will go from the end of it, so it will start with DLROW and then OLLEH. And when we run it, it will start from this side. So hello, you can read hello world from right, but from left it is reversed. So this is another interesting, very interesting tag, and I choose both of them together, so there are actually two tags here. I forgot to close H3, save this. So here I have I wrote hello world. I wanted to write hello world, but by mistake I put wood here. But I didn't want to completely make it disappear from the screen. I want my user know that I made this mistake for whatever reason. And instead of deleting it, I put it inside of the delete tag. So what it does, it will put a line on top of wood, and then I inserted the world. So that means that it will draw a line on wood, that means we're not using the wood, and it will draw a line under the world, that means we replace the wood with world. So now let's save this and take a look at it in the browser to see how does it look like. So yeah, so this is hello, which is in our H3 tag, so it is the size of the H3 tag, and then we have the wood, which we said we made a mistake, so there is a line on top of it, and then we used world, which there is an underline under it, and it means that we replaced wood with world. So this is another way of doing the same thing. You will use S tags inside of your H3 tags, and then it will draw a line on the whole thing. It will draw a line on hello world, hello wood, and then I will put H3 tag, and I will say underline world, so that means that we replaced the world instead of wood. So I'm just going to save this. I'm going to run it again, and it's going to look like this. So when I put the S tags in front of them, it just draw the line like the other one, and then I underlined with U under hello world, so just to say that yeah, I replaced wood with hello world. You don't need to always use both of these together. Even if I delete this and if I save it, this will absolutely work. We just wouldn't have the second line. So another tag that we can use is span. So you will use a part of your text, which here I choose world as I did for all of the other words. I choose world, and I use a span tag on it. Inside of the starter of my span tag, I used an attribute called style, and I chose the color to be green. So that means that this part that I choose, whatever attribute that I chose here, is going to happen to this word that I choose to be inside of my span, and the rest of it is going to be the same thing. Like hello is going to be still the black color, and it's going to be in H3 format, but my world is going to go whatever I will define as an attribute to my span. So I save this, and when I run it, you will see that world turns to green. So another very useful tag is called pre tag, which if you remember, I told you we had an H3 tag, and let me show you here. So we had an H3 tag here, and I said hello world inside of it, and I closed the H3 tag, and I save this, and if I bring this world to the next line, and do this, so we have the same type of thing for both of them. One of them is with H3 and the other one is with pre. Now let's see what's gonna happen. Save this, and notice that both of I wrote hello world. The type of hello world that I write is the same in both of them, but they will show it differently on the browser. Let's check it out. So the first one is just gonna be like that, but the second one, hello is on top and world is on the bottom, and it is exactly the way that we defined it to. It didn't consider the pre. It will bring the hello completely at the beginning of the line, and the world went on the separate line on the next line. And as you can see, it even considered the tab that was here. So if I take it completely to the back and I save this and I run this again, you will see that world is going to go back to that line. But here, to my hello world, nothing changed. It is still, both of the words are still on top, and it didn't even consider the spaces that I put between these exclamation marks. So as we can see there, the difference between H3 and pre is pre will save the way that you wrote your words as well. It will consider everything. But in H3, it won't consider changing the line, it won't consider extra spaces, and that's what you want to consider if you want to have a long paragraph, which you want the style and the format and everything would be the same. You can just use pre and it will save everything for you. So now let's get to more serious stuff. Something that you always want to consider is you can use division. Division is very important, although it's not a big deal, but it is very important to learn. So let me show you just very quickly that division actually doesn't do anything in this one, but I just want to show you the format of it. So I have an h3 hello world, and I will close the h3 and I will close my div. Save this. Well, right now I don't want to use this. I don't want to print this on the screen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put this, an exclamation mark, and 2 lines, and then at the end of it I will put another 2 line and bigger sign. So I will save this. So what this and this does, it will make all of this a comment, so they're not going to appear on my browser. In case you want to put yourself a note or something like that, you want to make sure that you know what's going on, what you're writing, or you want to write with a group and you want to send the rest of it to the other group, you can use the comment, so it won't show on the screen, but you will still be able to check it when you're checking the code. So now let's run this. You see, it's just written hello world in the screen and nothing special happened to it, although I put another tag around it, which is called div. So what div does is it will define divisions, and it is very important because when you're writing a very long code and you want each part of them to have certain styles, or you want one part of it to choose JavaScript, or there's so many things will going on when you have written a very long code and you want to access a couple of line of codes, or I don't know, 10 or 100 line of codes all together, changing the style of it or something like that altogether. So division here is very important because you can put each part in a different division, and later on whatever changes you want to make to whole that area, you can just choose the division. So it might seem that it doesn't really do anything at the beginning that I'm putting this that I'm putting hello world on the screen, but it is actually very useful. So now I'm just gonna take this off of it because I explained about the division. So right now I'm just using the div tags, which is opening and closing, and then in the opening of my div tag I have my attribute, which is I styled it, and I want the background color to be green. You can actually do this in your style sheet in your CSS, but for today's purpose I just wanted to show how div actually works, so I choose the style for it so you will see what it actually does. So we choose the background color of our div to be green, and the whole thing is inside of our div section. Next thing that we want to start, I'm going to put this on the next line. We're going to use detail. So now let's look better, we can understand it better. So we're using detail tag, and what detail tag does is sometimes you're just writing a word there, and you don't want to take too much spaces about explaining what does it mean and stuff like that, but some users want to figure out more information about it, so you can put the detail in a hidden place that if a user wants, they can access it whenever they want, but it's not going to take lots of space in the screen. So you will use detail tags, opening and closing detail tags, and then inside of your detail tags you will write what you want to show on the screen. Here I want to show hello world on the screen, but this is the summary of this paragraph that I have here. Okay, so this is something that's going to show on the screen, but this is something that's not going to show on the screen, but the user can decide if he or she wants to take a look at it or not. So we have opening and closing of the paragraph, which just says we're writing a long paragraph. Another thing that I used here is quotation marks, because I wrote all of these. I brought all of these from Wikipedia. I just copy pasted from Wikipedia. So I just wanted to say, yeah, this is a code from Wikipedia. So I just put tag code tag, which doesn't really do as much. You can just like write whatever you want. Is just putting two dots and the quotation marks around around your text. So it doesn't really do that much, but still it's good to know that you can just put quotation tag and use it instead of putting exclamation mark and two dots. So this is how it worked. We opened and closed a detail, and then we wrote a summary of what we want to show on the screen, and then after your summary you will just write a paragraph, and that paragraph is the explanation of your summary, and user can choose if they want to see it or not. Another thing that I just add to this is the div tag, which I wanted to show you what does div do. So that means it will take this division and whatever inside of it and it will turn it to green. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to run it. And you will see the only thing that appears on the screen is hello world. So I'm going to touch on the green area wherever I want, and when I click on it, the explanation that I put in the paragraph is going to appear. So another very important tag in HTML is OL tag. It's actually very useful. If you check my navigation bar tutorial, I'm using Unordered List to make my navigation bar, and it looks very good with CSS styling and things like that. Okay, so how it does work is you will put an ordered list tag opening and closing, and in the middle of it, for each member of your list, you will put an li tag. So what is actually OL tag? OL tag means ordered list. So that means it will make a list of the colors that I wrote here. So it will say number 1 blue, green, and gray. So obviously we save this, and if I run it here, we'll see that put a number before each one of them because it's an ordered list. So for making it unordered list, we can just put U, because sometimes you don't want the numbers before that. It doesn't matter, it's not first or second, it's just a couple of things that we want to notice. So you will just put UL, and that means unordered list. So now if I run this again, you will see that those 1, 2, 3 change to dots. So another thing that I want to talk about here is the table tag. Table tags are very important as well, but I'm going to explain about tables more in CSS. Right now I just wanted to show how the structure of the table works. So because when you want to actually style it, and it actually looks like a table when you're using CSS styling. But right now it's just gonna show you just the words and stuff like that. So what we do is we open and close a tag called table, and then inside of your table tag you will use TR, which means the table rows, and this means the rows, and then TD means the table data, the actual data that you put in each cell of your table. So right now I choose fruit and vegetable, and then I choose peach and lettuce. I'm going to change TD to something else as well, but for now I'm just going to save this, so I will show you. So right now we have only 2 rows. We opened one row, we closed one row, we opened another row, and we closed it. And then in each one of our rows we have 2 datas. One is fruit and vegetable, the other one is peach and lettuce. So I save this, and when I run this, you will see this table on the screen, and if I highlight that, you can kind of see the lines in between the table that I have here. So when I change this to the header, and if I run it here, we will see that they got bold, and they got a little bit bigger and bold. So that is the difference between the header and the normal data that you will put in your table. So you kind of want to know that if you want to make a table. But then if you want to style our table, if we want to put borders for it and things like that, we would do that in CSS, which is going to be our next tutorial. So another important thing which you want to know is how to use an anchor tag. So right now I just wrote a paragraph and called it and wrote hello world. So this is what's going to show on the screen. And then after that I opened another tag in between my paragraph, which is called anchor tag or link file. So you will open an anchor tag, and in the opening of it you will write an attribute called href or href, and then you will write the URL or the address of the place that you want somebody when touch hello world to go to this website. You will write it inside of your href, and then beside that you can add, this is optional, you can add a title to that. And this title, whenever you hover over hello world, it will show you Google. It will show you in a little box that it says Google. So I opened an anchor tag, and I defined a place that I want to go, and I defined a title, and this is the word that's going to show on the screen. And I closed my anchor tag, and I closed my paragraph tag. So this is the way that you have to write an anchor tag. I'm just going to save it, and then I'm going to run it here, and you will see that there is a hello world. When I go on it, it will say Google on the bottom. I'm not sure if you're able to see it because my pointer is a little bit big, but trust me, there is it says Google under it. You can try it, and then if I click on it, it will take me to Google. So aside from the other tutorial that I have to how to make a navigation bar, which is more professional and it looks better since we're making it with CSS and Unordered List, there is another way and very straightforward way to make navigation bar, and it's very easy with HTML. It's just to use navigation tag. So you have an opening and closing of your navigation tag, and then you have your anchor opened. Inside of your anchor, you will define href. You can put title as well. Here I just use href, and you will write the place that you want to go on click. Here I just use server.html, mainpage.html, contact.html. These are the web pages that I already have. So I have here I have mainpage.html and contact.html, and the other one have to be here as well. I forgot which one is that. Yeah, it's contact.html have to be here too. So everything is here, and I'm just going to save this. Okay, and then you will write whatever you want to be appeared on the screen, and you will put a line or a star or anything that you want to be between your navigation bar, between the written part of your navigation bar. And if you notice something, since we're not using any break in between them, all of them are going to be on the same line. So I'm just going to save this, and when I run it here, you will see all of them are up here. So if I, for example, go to the survey, it's going to take me to the survey tutorial that I made before. And then if I go to the main page, it's going to take me to the main page, and this is the other navigation bar that I made a similar one to these in another tutorial. And then I have contacts, which is going to take me to the contacts place. So yeah, this is how it works. So you can easily make a navigation bar just by using navigation tag. So something else which is very interesting as well is the abbreviation tag. It is very similar to the other tags that we had. We have an H3 tag, which is going to write our A stop on the screen, and then we have the abbreviation tag inside of it. What abbreviation tag does is you can choose a title for it. For example, here I choose the title as soon as possible, and then when you hover over ASAP, is going to show your title on the screen, which is as soon as possible. So you will open your abbreviation tag, you will write the attribute inside of it, the title that you want, and then you will close your abbreviation tag. In between your H3 and your abbreviation tag, you will write anything that you want to appear on the screen. I'm going to save this, and when I run this again, you will see ASAP is on the screen, nothing else. So if I go and hover over it, you will see it is written as soon as possible in the box under your cursor. So this is actually another way of detailing if you just want to choose a very short, I don't know, title or something like that. You don't need to actually choose the title to appear and disappear. That's good for paragraph. This is good for small titles. So we choose an anchor file to take us to another website when we are clicking on a picture or clicking on a word or anything like that by choosing anchor tags. Another thing that you can actually do, and it's way more interesting, is to use Iframe. Iframe will actually open a window on your screen, and it will show another web page in it. So you can open a window of Google and show Google in there that you can actually use. So here, and another thing is you have to have permission from that website to iframe it to your website. I tried to do it with Google, I tried to do it with a couple of other websites. I wasn't able to do that. So that's why I decided to choose my own website that I already have it in my folder, in my new folder too. I have a web page called mainpage.html. I just chose that here as my source. So how iframe works is you have an opening iframe and you have a closing iframe. Inside of your opening, you will define your attributes. You can choose widths, you can choose heights, and you can choose your source. So I decided my widths to be 500, height to be 300, and source is the web page that you want to choose in this window that the width and height are specified, and I'm going to show main page in my iframe. So I'm just going to save this, and I'm going to run I'm going to use my browser again. So this is a 500 by 300 window, and this is my web page, and it is actually working. You can just hover on each one of these, and it will actually take you, if it choose YouTube, it's going to take you to my YouTube channel, but that's not going to happen because YouTube do not give me permission to show their web page on my screen. So yeah, that's how it works. But for example, if I go to contact us, there's another page that I have, and it will take me to my contact page. So yeah, this is how iframe works. It's very interesting, but you need to make sure that you have permission from the website that you want to put your source on. So another thing that I want to show you is how to display a picture or an image on the screen. So what you do is just have an opening tag. It doesn't have a closing tag. So you will open an image tag, and then you will specify your source. Right now I have leaf.jpg. Something which is very important you want to consider is your picture have to be in the same folder as your HTML file. So my HTML file is here, my picture is here. If my picture was in another folder, which was image or something like that, you need to put a slash you need to put a slash before this, and then specify the address. Where does it come from? Is it from image? So if it's from image, you will put the image before your slash. So that is something we want to consider. But if you're new to this, just try to put the picture in the same folder as your file, so you don't need to specify the address, and you can easily just write the name of it. And then I will choose the width of my image, because that image is actually very big. It's going to cover the whole screen, so I'm going to say 150, and the height is going to be 150, so it's going to be in form of this square. I save this, I run this, and this is my picture, 150 by 150. So this is a little bit small. I'm just gonna put it at 500 pixel width and 500 pixel, or for example 700 pixel height. Is going to be a little bit stretched, but it's going to be fine. So yeah, this is how you make it bigger, smaller, or anything that you want. But you need to notice that if you want to actually make the size of your image smaller, you have to go with another software or something like that, resize your image, because this thing, when we choose, for example, 500 width and 700 height, it doesn't actually change the size of your image. It just changes the display of that image. So another interesting thing that you can, another interesting tag that you can use is Embed. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but this is actually a very interesting tag. So you can choose a source file. I choose GIF here, it's GIF, and then I choose the width to be 150 and height to be 150. I think this is small. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm just going to put 500 for each one of them. So it's going to be a little bit bigger so we can see it properly. And now 1500, 500, and save this. So this is not actually a picture. This is like an animation or something. If you want to do plugins or stuff like that, you can use Embed, or any way that we pronounce it correctly. And then if I run this again, you will see this picture appears on my screen, this animation. So another interesting tag is audio tag. The way you want to use it, you want to open an audio tag and put an attribute controls inside of it, and you want to close your audio tag. Inside of it, you will just say your sources, so source and then src for source, and you will write the name of the name, or if the location is different, the location of your file. So here I'm just going to, this is like a sound of a boomerang or boomerang. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but it is MP3. So I will specify that this file is MP3, and I will save this. When I run it, it's going to, can actually choose how loud you want it to be, and then if I just press the play button, another thing which is very interesting as well is object. Another tag is object, and here I'm just going to use the same sound and the MP3 file that I have, but there is something very interesting about this. After you open and close your object file, which is just the same thing as the audio file, you're just gonna put this on the screen and everything. There is another thing called param. What this tag does, if you put the value, if you define an attribute, which is called value, and put that to true, that means it's always 1, that means it's always running. It means whenever you click on the web page, this is going to play. This MP3 is going to play. As soon as you open the web page, this MP3 is going to play. Well, normally it is very annoying, and it's good to not use that unless it is very necessary, because people don't like to just open a screen and suddenly make lots of noise and things like that. But this is actually something that you want to do, but be more careful of how you're using it. So I'm going to run, and you see as soon as I run, it will start making noise. So another thing which is very important in making surveys or anything that you want, any form that you want to make in HTML, it's very important to know how to make a button tag. So you open a button tag and you will close a button tag, and then you will write the name for what you want to appear on top of your button. So right now I just put click me on top of my button, and then inside of your opening tag of the button you can specify the attributes that you want. For example, hover, what's going to happen when you hover over it, what's going to happen on click, and stuff like that. So right now I just decided to put on click what I wanted to happen. So it means after I click on click me, it's going to open a pop-up window. Alert means that. So there's a pop-up window is going to open, and inside of it is going to say hello world. So that's what you do. You just open and close a button tag, and then you write whatever you want it to be written on top of your button here, and then you can choose as many attributes as you want inside of your button tag. So here I just choose unclick, alert, and make sure that you're using quotation mark or one line mark, it doesn't matter, but the one that is inside of it have to be different. So if you're using 2 lines here, you have to choose 1 line here. If you're choosing 2 lines, 1 line outside, choose 2 line inside. And so right now I have hello world inside, so I'm just gonna run it and see what's happened. So click me is gonna appear on the screen. If I click on it, it's going to pop up something and say, the page says hello world. You say okay. If I do it again, the same thing is going to appear. We'll learn way more things to do, because you kind of need to use JavaScript and PHP if you want to kind of send emails and receive emails and things like that. Those are something that will happen in the background, so you need to have a little bit of real coding experiences in JavaScript and PHP, which we're going to cover in our PHP and JavaScript tutorials. So sometimes you want to choose, show data on your screen, and this is one of the very useful things that you can choose when you want to show data and things like that on your screen. It's called meter, and it will just show a bar, and you will decide how much of it you want it to be filled, and it will show you that much of it is filled. So you can choose many attributes for meter. You can actually search it on Google and figure out what you want to choose for the meter. But here I'm going to choose value, which is going to be I choose the value to be 80, and then my mean is 0, max is 0. So it means that I have a bar, I have a glass, or anything you want to call it, and it is from 0 to 100. And so that's the whole thing that I have, and I want the value to be 80. So I want it to be colored. 80 parts of it I want it to be colored, and 20 parts of it I want to be empty. And then I put a brick here, and this is my next meter. So in my next meter, I just decided to put the value in a way that the system can figure out what is the minimum, what is the maximum, and then I closed my meter, which I didn't close it properly, and I have to close it this way. Save. So what this does, it knows that it will start from 0 till 10, so this point 2, 0 till 10, and I want 2 part of that 10 part to be colored. So I'm just going to save this, and then if I run it here, you will see that the first one have 100 parts and 80 part of it is colored. The second one, if we choose, it's like 10 part and 2 part of it is colored. If we want to say it's 100 part, we'll say 20 part of it is colored. So this is how you will show the bars, and you will show how much of it you want it to be colored. So another tag that you can use in your website or web page is video tag. So it's pretty much similar to the other tags. You're just having an opening and you have closing of the video tag, and then you will choose your attributes, which is width and height or anything else that you want, and then you will say controls. And when you write source for, okay, so another thing that you want to specify is the source, which is very important because that's going to show the file that you want on the screen. Here I just choose one of my videos, which is called Earth Finished. I don't remember which video is that. And then it is an MP4 format. It's very important to put the format in the source as well. And then since it is in the same folder as my HTML folder, I don't need to specify the address of my file. I just can write the name of it. So I'm going to save this, and then when I run it, you'll see this video is going to appear on the screen. And then if I start running it, so yeah, this is the drop down menu video tutorial that I made before. So yeah, this is how it looks like. You can just choose the video tag and put a video in your website. So these are the last tags that I'm going to show in this tutorial. It is form tag. If you want to see more specified of how you do it and things like that, go to my survey HTML because I actually made a survey with the form. Right now, this one is not going to actually work because we need to use JavaScript or PHP or some other coding like that, which is going to be in another tutorial. But for now, we're just going to see how do we make it appear on the screen. Let's first just make this more neat so we'll understand what's going on. So the first thing is you will open and close a form tag. So that's the most important thing. That means you will start writing a form. And then, this is optional if you want to. You will choose a field set, and you can divide your form into different sections, and you can choose field set for each part of it. So what it does, it will draw a line around it. That means that this field is, all of the questions in this fields are related. For example, here, I decided to put the name of this field info. So the way that you put the name of your field is by putting it inside of a legend tag. So what we did so far is that we wrote a form tag, opening and closing a form tag. Inside of our form tag, we used a field set, which meant it means that there is a line around all of the information that we provided here, and then we want to name this section's form, which is called info, and in order to appear that in order to print that on the screen, we choose a legend tags. We put legend tags around it, and then we will start with the first line. So the first line is we want to ask for the name. You can choose it, we can put it inside of the P tag as well, so it means it's a paragraph. If you want to like change color and stuff like that, it's not really recommended not to put it inside of anything. But for now, just for simplicity, I'm just going to put the name and 2 dots around it, and then because I don't want you to confuse so many tags together. And then you will choose input, which is very important. It's telling to the system that this is, we want to get inputs from the user. And then you want to choose what type of input you want. I say it's a text because it is a name. And then I put a break after it, which means that email is going to go on the next line, and then I will write email on the screen. I say it's an input. Again, I put the type as text. Later on I will show you can put the type of the text as email, so in case it is not in the format of an email, like for example if it doesn't have an @ sign or dot, it will give you a warning and it will ask you to change the type of your email, but for now we're just going to put text. So yeah, so you will put input and the type of it is going to be text. I put another break after that. We're going in the next line, and I have female and male, and I choose that, and I use radio buttons for this one. We're gonna see how does it look like on the screen, and I choose a name for this one, which is going to be used for when you're using PHP, but right now you don't really use it for any purpose because we're just gonna print it on the screen. And again, if you want more in-depth of how to use form, go and check out my survey tutorial. That's going to explain everything, and even more options here. And then I wrote a paragraph and write something about yourself, and after that I opened and closed a tag which is called text area. It will open in the square area for you, and you can write whatever you want inside of the text area. For the styling of it, I choose a width and height for it, but the important thing is you can actually the user can actually change the width and height of the text area, so you will just give them a default a default square to write in, but they can change the size of it while they're using. I'm just going to show it to you how does it work right now. So yeah, this is the way that you're writing a form, and then if I run it here, I'm not sure if I saved it, save it. If I run it here, so yeah, you see there is this line around, and then there is info, our legend there, and you can write anything that you want in the name, you can write anything that you want in the email, and you can choose female or male. So the radio button doesn't let you to decide to choose both of them together. You can just choose one at a time. For more options, again, check my survey tutorial. And then you can open and close this square, as I told you. There are 3 lines, there are 2 lines here, so you can just click on it and drag it so it will get smaller or bigger, and then you can write whatever you want inside of here. And yes, that's it. I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope it would be useful for you. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.